Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we've got a little animated map for you. If I roll over this blue pointed section, we've got this map that rolls out. It's a live Google map, so you can scroll in, scroll out. Then when we roll off of it, it's going to roll back to where it was. Really easy to do and nice little eye-catching feature to have on your site. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder so we can build on the front end. Okay, once loaded, let's go down to where we want to work. I've got a section here, the blue tab. It's got a row in it with a single column, the green tab there. I'm going to delete the row and we'll start from scratch. So I'm going to add a single row right there. And Divi comes as standard with all these modules today. One I want to use for our little map today is the code module. There it is right there. And we're going to go over to Google and we're going to get the code for the map that we actually want to use. This way you can kind of get around having to use an API key. So if I go over to Google Maps here, for those that don't know, just go to Google and type in maps. Type in the address you want. I've got the White House selected here for want of a better one. Zoom it in or zoom it out to where you actually want it. And when you're happy, there's a little share button right here. I'm going to left click on that. And I'm going to click on Embed a Map. And here it is. Here's what's going to show up. I can just click the copy HTML to copy that, or you can select it and copy it if you prefer. Great. It's copied to my clipboard now. Let's go back to our Divi site and we can paste it in right here. And there it is, there's our map. And that's great, but I actually want it to stretch the full width of our row, which is somewhere over here. So if I go into the code here and we take a look at it, we've got height there, which is fine. I'll leave that as it is. If you want to change it, you can actually change the height there by putting in a different value. But we've got width just up here above it before it. I'm going to change that from 600 to 100%, so it'll fill 100% of the available space, which is our row. So I'm going to simply write 100%. And as you can see, it's stretched the full width of our row now. That's great. Okay, so initially, I really only want to see about 10% of this poking out over here. And then we'll decorate the back of a row with a pattern. Obviously, you can do it how you want. This is what I'm going to do today. So let's go over to our design tab. I'm going to go down to spacing. And on the left hand side of margin here, I'm going to give it negative 90%. So it should take it back this way by about 90%. So it's negative 90% again. There we have it. And it's basically stretched it 90% that way and left what we've got on the end here, which is fine, but we can counter that by giving 90% padding on the right hand side, which will push the other bit to where we want it. So let's do that exactly the same, 90 and a percent sign. And it's pushed it over here. Now our row actually ends about here, but this is spilling out of it. So I don't want to see anything that's spilling out of our row. So let's go and correct our row. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to click on the field here, go into the row, the green tab. I'm going to go over to advanced in the row. I'm going to go down to visibility. I'm going to turn horizontal and vertical overflow both to hidden. Okay, and while we're in here, let's give it a bit of a background that this thing's going to slide in over. So I'm going to go back to the content of the row here. I'm going to go down to background. We open up the background. You've got color, gradient, image, video, background pattern, or background mask. I'm actually going to use a mask for this today. So I'm going to click on there. I'm going to add a background mask, little plus icon. Just click on the field and it will show you the available ones. I want this sort of arrow one right here. And because it's white on white, you can't see it. I'm going to turn it to blue so you can see it. Obviously, you make it whatever color you want. Okay, and I'm going to flip it around the other way so it's pointing at our map. So if I go down, there, flip it around the other way there. And if you want to, I'm using stretch to fill. You can cover, fit, or use a custom size and make it as big as small as you want here with width and height. But my actual stretch to fill is going to work fine for me today. Now I notice this thing's a lot bigger, taller and deeper than our map there. That's because we got padding on our row there. So I'm going to take any padding away from this row also in the design setting. I'm going to go down to spacing, simply put a 0 in the top and bottom padding. Just put the 0 in, hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side for you. That's better. It's a bit more similar in height. I know from previous experience with the Google map we're going to have a little gap at the bottom there. Okay. Now I've saved that. You can see the default overflow there. It started to work. So now I want to go in and make the actual effect for our map. So I'm going to hover over it again. Go into the map module. I'm going to go over to my design where we did that spacing. Now this is common to all Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing there, some icons will appear. Go to the one that you want to affect. We'll do margin first in this case. If there's a little arrow there, you click on it. And it's going to give you what they call a desktop state when your mouse is not on it, and a hover state when your mouse is on it. Desktop state, that's exactly how I want to see it. Obviously that overflow will be hidden when we get out of the builder here. But when we hover over it, I want that to be 0. And the reason it's still over there is because we've got all this padding. So you want to make sure you go down to padding. Don't try and do it while you're on the margin one. Same thing, hit the little arrow so its controls open up. And we can do a similar thing here. It's 90% there. I'm going to simply make it 0 when we hover over it. So it should cover the whole of that row there. There we go. Like I said, I've got a little gap there. You can see it bleeding through the bottom, and that's the map code. I'm sure there's a way of fixing that with the code, but I haven't found it yet. So I'm going to sort of jig this around just to make it work. So we've got that when we hover over it, that when we're not. I'm going to slow it down because the default time to slide from left to right there is 300 milliseconds with Divi. So if you go over to your advanced tab, down to transitions, there's the 300 milliseconds that I just mentioned, just under a third of a second, which is pretty quick. I'm going to make mine say 1200, 1.2 seconds, something like that. Transition delay, I don't want any delay. I want it to happen as soon as the mouse hits it. And the ease in and out is a transition speed curve I like to use for my hover effects. Obviously you adjust these how you want them. These speed curves are all slightly different. Some will work better than others in certain situations, but for these hover effects, that's my go-to guy right there. Okay, well let's just flip this to the hover state a moment. Doesn't really matter where we do that. I'll go into spacing and just click on the hover state so it's filled. Now I want to get rid of this little bit at the bottom because I really don't want to see that. So still on the design tab, I'm going to go down to transform, and the first one we've got here is scale. So we can drag this to just scale this up slightly until it covers, there we go, covers our little blue bits at the bottom there. Let's just 2, 3, that seems to have done it. We can see everything up there. Let's just flip it back again. Yeah, I think that's going to work fine right there. Great. Let's save our changes here. Okay, last thing I really want to do here is I just want to add a bit of box shadow to this row right here. So I'm going to click on it, go into the row again, the green tab. I'm going to go over to design, box shadow. I'm going to add a little bit of box shadow down the bottom there, just for a bit of effect. Great. And because we've given it 90% padding when it's over to the left there, we've got something to trigger it with when we hover over it. Had we not put that padding there and just use margin this side, nothing would happen when we hover over this side, but it's triggering it because of the padding there. Okay, well let's save our page changes, little purple button at the bottom. And let's exit the Visual Builder. And there we have it. There's our little map module. When I hover anywhere over this little blue section here, it should swing out. It's going to take 1.2 seconds to do it. When I get off again, it's going to pop back there. Like I say, that's a nice little effect to have on your site. Really easy to do. And as you can see, no coding involved. Divi makes it pretty easy for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. In our next video, if I roll down a bit, I'm going to show you how to create these floating images here. We've done this before with a great plugin called Divi Supreme Modules. I'm going to show you how to do it without a plugin, just using a bit of code. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and WebDesignerTechTips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.